からの仕掛けてイグナイトバッ
なんか今までで一番強いチームだと思いますし、僕とイタポンさんがロール変えたばっかなんで、一番伸びしろがあるチームだとも思うんで、今季は優勝できると思いますね。
個人のレーンの強さも前よりかも良くなってるし、チームプレーがすごいなんかよくできるようになってるんで今、まとまってるっていう思います。
結構僕スプリットプッシャーとかブルーザーが得意なので、ブルーザーに関しては僕の方がうまいことできるんじゃないかなと思いますね。
カズ選手が多分スプリット系使ってくると思うんで、グループとかして攻めていきたいなと思ってます。
セブンス結構ボットとジャングルがキャリーするチームだと思うんですけど、うちはもう全部レーンキャリーできるんで、そこは問題ないと思いますね。
レーンは多分イーブンぐらいになると思うんですけど、グループした時は、そっちで勝ってるとは思います。
個人的にはやっぱトップが暴れて勝ちたいっていうのが理想ですけども、やっぱチームとしてはやっぱキルも起きないぐらい綺麗にローテーションで勝っていきたいなと思いますね。
今回は前回よりもチームがいい感じにまとまってると思うので、勝てるように頑張りたいと思います。
All right, everyone, welcome back to day 2 of the LJL with Joshi, and I have a new caster with me today. Welcome, everyone. Say hello to Aaron Server here. What would you like us to call you today?
There's so many good names out there. I think I'm gonna go with Pew Pew Panda Face, because that's what's that's my Twitch here.
That sounds like a good choice. We're gonna be getting in a couple good best of threes today. We have Detonation Focus Me coming up against Seventh Heaven for our first game of the day. This is a very lopsided game going into it, actually. Detonation Focus Me was the #1 from the regular split last season, going 8-2, and Seventh Heaven was barely avoided relegations during the last summer split. Give me just a moment. It sounds like I am distorting. I'll be right back.
Good evening, good night, full planet.
Yeah. Well, we're back. It should be alright now, but we're going to go in. Yeah, like I said, Detonation Focus Me, very dominant team in the Japanese history for a long time. They've been either first or second in every LJL split, even before the LJL ever started. Seventh Heaven had a couple of good years, but nowadays, they're not looking so hot.
That's right. So, like I was saying, Joshi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I don't. What time? What time are you thinking? Where we're at right now? You say we're good morning.
I think we'd have to go with good morning. I think we both got a little bit of sleep, so technically we have progressed the day, right?
Right.
I think that that's the real key of what it is. The time doesn't matter as long as you're able to get in a little bit of sleep. That's when you transition, what day it is. So
right. I actually think the saying is the time doesn't matter as long as you're having fun.
Is being super fatigued and just ready to watch some Japanese League of Legends counting as having fun?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I can't think of anything else that could be more fun.
Well, awesome, because it's a good thing we're having fun, because yesterday we were quite possibly casting from in the worst place possible to be casting for Japanese League of Legends, starting at 4 a.m. PST. Today we're starting at 1 a.m., and it's only going to get better and better as it goes on. But yeah, we're going to take a look at a couple different things. Right here, we do see Steel being picked up for Detonation Focus Me. He's a former jungler for KT Rolster last season and was playing for Millennium's Challenger team in Europe for a little while as well. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten to see a lot of him yet. He didn't actually start on any games for KT Rolster. He is just now coming over to Japan to try and mix things up a little bit, and he immediately goes to one of the top teams. That does change a lot.
Here.
Well, yeah, that does change a lot of their roster. that does move past their former jungler back to the top lane, which he was playing originally. And Utapon, their top laner, is now their ADC again. And that's actually Utapon's, I believe it's fifth roster swap, or position swap. He was an ADC, and then he was a top laner, and then he was an ADC, and then he was a top laner. Now he's back to ADC again, and he's playing up against Rakenya, quite possibly the lone star of the entire team.
I'm excited to see Rakenya play today. I think that if Seventh Heaven has a chance at beating Detonation, I think it's going to be because of the spot lane.
Yeah, and Rakenya's been doing some great stuff. He often has like a more supporter style we see there from the most played champions of last season, really favoring more utility style champs like the Sivir and the Ashe. Unfortunately for Seventh Heaven last split, that didn't really pan out a whole lot because they only picked up, I believe it was 2 games. Oh, excuse me, 2 sets off the other teams, taking one of them off of, what was it, Scars, and I believe the other one was off of Rascal Jester. And so, they struggled a lot to play against the bottom teams, and it's definitely against top teams who, throughout the entire season, Rampage, Detonation, Focus Me, and Unsold Stuff Gaming dropped a total of 3 games, not sets, 3 games between them to the bottom 3 teams. And Seventh Heaven, I believe, only was able to pick up one of them.
Right. Man.
It's early for you, isn't it? I can tell.
Yeah, it is actually really early for me. I'm sorry about this, everybody. I'm trying to keep myself upright here, but don't worry. I'll get in my zone, into my loop.
Are you gonna be like Kanye West? Do I need to keep you out of your zone? What?
I
My
actually, I take pride in my my pop culture, but I actually don't think I know this Kanye one with his zone.
Really?
Was this like on a news thing?
You haven't played that game before? It's literally just a picture, like in the circle. It just says the zone, and you got the Kanye head floating around the outside, and you got to prevent Kanye from getting into his zone.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
if
he
it
just
was
go
a
in the
game,
background.
okay, that's no,
He's just
absolutely
changing
not.
like,
I've never
"Don't
played
let
this
me
game.
into my zone. Don't let me into my zone." You just do that for forever. It's like the worst version of Pong I've ever played. And that's like something, 'cause that's Pong.
No, I can't say I have. Okay, it looks like we are going to be getting into Champ Select here. So, I'm not very familiar with the Japanese meta, Joshi. What is it that you think we need to be looking out for? Oh, it looks like the Syndra and the Kennen have already been banned.
Yeah, it's really difficult to say going into this because I'll be honest, I'm not sure the Japanese players know what the Japanese meta is sometimes. They've been doing some weird things. We do see, like I said, the Syndra and the Cannon already being banned away. 2 very powerful picks, especially from Spring Split. And we're seeing a little bit of Cannon play, especially in Korea and a little bit in Europe as well, to mixed success. We really need to see a Zac ban coming out here in the next couple of bans. Otherwise, I definitely see Detonation being able to pick that up. It's probably the only true must ban on this patch.
Interesting. And what is it that we're seeing here also with these? Are we are in the 10 ban meta already, or the 10 ban patch already?
Yeah, we are. So we do have the 3 bans to start on both sides, then 3 picks, 1, 2, 2, 1,
Mhm.
and then we have a second round of bans. So then it's red team gets a ban, then blue, then red, then blue, and then red pick, 2 blue picks, and the final red pick. So it's a lot of different things. We often see the second set of bans really targeting, hard targeting roles of what hasn't already been picked. And we do see the Lee Sin being picked up to start with for Steel. Lee Sin's been a staple of League of Legends since ever, really.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, yeah. Even when he's bad, he's good. As long as you would have to take away his CC in order for him to be bad. And especially on these Korean players, which, as you were saying, Steel was on KT Rolster. He's definitely got that, that feel about him. Oh, and it looks like we also got Rengar as that second jungle pick on the right side too. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I thought it was locked in. I didn't see that.
Excuse me. It is definitely an Ash jungle. Excuse you. But yeah, they're getting into This isn't surprising at all, seeing the Karma and the Ash picked up. Like we said, that's one of Kenya's favorite champions, and that Karma is a great flex. We saw it being played by Rampage's Ramune yesterday, doing a great job of really controlling the lanes. We see it a little bit as support as well, so it'll probably go over to Thinton, but it might go over to Brock as well. And I'd be really curious to see the Heimerdinger. We haven't seen
Yeah.
it in competitive play probably since like Season 1, but I'm always
Yeah,
ready for
but
excited.
Heimerdinger's never a troll hover. I mean, hover. Oh, well, I'm very shocked for him to have switched off of this Heimerdinger and back onto this Lulu. Oh wow, and to lock in the Lulu with that, I am quite flabbergasted, I must say.
Yeah, the Kog'Maw Lulu, I think we've only seen it maybe, like 80% of the time throughout the last spring split. Definitely super strong power picks. Lee Sin giving you the early pressure, and then Kog'Maw just, you know, he's like, they used to talk about Uzi in China being the puppy, and no matter who Kog'Maw's playing, it's just, you gotta protect the puppy and let it do what it needs to do, and it'll grow up and it'll be this giant mastiff that can really just carry the entire team. But we are getting to the second rounds of bans where you are going to start seeing a lot more targeted bans towards the top lane and the mid lane especially. We already see that with the Blanc trying to keep that off of Saros, who is widely considered one of the best players in Japan, period. And if you can really pinch his champion pool with already the Syndra gone and the LeBlanc gone, we're probably going to see something like an Ari or possibly an Orianna ban as well to try and prevent him from getting onto all these different comfort picks. It's going to be really helpful for 7th Heaven.
Right. And I'm actually kind of surprised to see the Shen ban from DNG, because usually from my experiences with this Kog'Maw pick, Shen is actually has really good synergy with this Kog'Maw, because you want to get like a tanky front line, and you want to get some support in the other roles for this Kog'Maw, because Kog'Maw is very, very comfortable playing that solo carry role. And so I'm seeing them banning these tankier roles is kind of interesting. But the Talia, I'm not surprised by that ban, because that is that support mid role that I was just talking about.
I do really like 7th Heaven's draft actually here, because they pick up the Karma early to prevent it from going over to Saros in the mid lane, and then they also take away the Orion. So those are the two. Oh man, Heimerdinger again.
Man,
they're taking away a lot of the potential support picks from Detonation Focus Me, and you talking about the Shen is also really interesting, because my next thought was like, oh, they'll probably try and pick up a Galio, because Galio does a very similar thing. He jumps around, gives 50% damage reduction to everybody in his circle. It's really strong. He provides such a strong front line, but they're again opting not to do that. And now they do get the Ari counterpick into Orianna. That's a fairly even matchup, but now they do have to blind pick their top laner. So something like Gragas is not a surprise at all. Fills a similar role and does give the primary engage tools over to Paz, whereas before you were counting on 100% Steel finding a good Dragon's Rage on that Lee Sin. And the Rakan is hovered over here by 7th Heaven.
do you think that's a troll pick, or do you think that Rakan can go into that top lane? Or do you think this is even possible that this Rengar could be a top lane pick?
I don't think so. I'm really not surprised by this Sejuani. We did see a little bit of it over in Korea. I believe it was played by BBQ? I can't remember off the top of my head, but Sejuani top lane, it doesn't win the lane at all, but it doesn't need to. Against something like Gragas, which doesn't have a ton of kill pressure in the lane. It just needs to go even, and then it provides such a strong front line for the rest of your team, and another engage tool. Now,
Yes. And these two engage... Oh, sorry.
Well,
go on.
7th Heaven has so many engage tools if you look at their team, honestly. They have the Sejuani in the top lane with the Glacial Prison to throw out. That one's a very strong one. You have Ash's Enchanted Crystal Arrow. You have Rengar with Orianna. So, Kitty Cat with the... with the ball of yarn running in.
Yeah.
Exactly. He jumps in, yells at everyone, and then it's like,
Yeah. Actually, you didn't tell me that you did the voice for Rengar, Joshi.
I know I don't like to brag about it a whole lot. I really, really do really well with all the cat noises I need to do for all these different groups. But we do see all of our final picks locked in. Two very interesting comps, a very well-rounded comp coming out of Detonation Focus Me with a ton of damage coming in from that bot lane. And on the other side, we're definitely looking towards 7th Heaven, where Kenya definitely the strongest player on the team. You know, he used to play on Detonation Focus Me previously when they had some of their great runs, but he's on a much more supportive role here on this Ash.
Right.
Especially in 710, we started to see things like Essence Reaver become a lot more popular, especially due to the reduced cost on that item, and do a lot more damage towards the crit. So we might see that coming out of Rakenya. That's a much higher damage output from Ash, but it's not necessarily the same kind of utility you might expect.
Right. You know, I give obviously Detonation Focus Me as the favorite here, but in terms of the draft, I actually am a lot more comfortable with Seventh Heaven's draft here. I don't think that the Kog'Maw, with Rakenya being as powerful as he is, that the Kog'Maw is going to really get the ball rolling here. And even if he does, they have a lot of tools in order to take that roll down. And so they're going to have to put this Gragas and this Ari are going to have to do a lot of work here, I feel, in order to really carry Detonation Focus Me through this game.
Potentially. We haven't seen Utapon play ADC in a while. He was a very strong ADC and actually became known as a Japanese player for his ADC plays and being very aggressive. Now, one thing that we talk about all the time is Japan tends to be a little bit behind on a lot of the meta. And, you know, we saw this last season. They didn't play Rumble. They didn't play Ivern. A lot of the teams just hadn't picked up Lulu, where they were still playing Tom Kench Top as like one of their pick bans in the playoffs, right up leading to MSI. And we even saw it played at MSI. Here, every other major region would have at least 4 Doran Shields in the game. And we aren't seeing it here. We're only seeing it on the ADCs. Neither of the top laners choose to get it. And it's just an interesting little adaptation that we're just not seeing from the Japanese scene. Whereas everybody else is like, yes, Doran Shield, that's my shiz.
Yeah. I would even build those 4 Doran Shields on one champion. I think there's still some hope here for these Japanese teams. They just got to build these Doran Shields later on in the game, and they'll be good. I think that's how it works.
I'm just tilted thinking about that right now. But we do see an interesting thing coming out from Vivid here. He is opting for the Thunderlords on the Lulu. A lot of Lulu players, when they have an interesting choice between the Windspeaker's Blessing and the Thunderlord's Decree. And a lot of Lulu players do opt to pick up the Thunderlords, but they often pair it with the Ignite due to the enhanced kill pressure that that the extra damage brings in both of those options. But he's going halvesies right now. And it'll be really interesting to see. I think overall it's a good idea to continue taking the exhaust. Rengar is gonna jump on you, yell at you, throw a bunch of stuff at you, and as long as you can keep Kog'Maw alive, that'll be one happy puppy.
What was that? What was your Rengar sound again? Are you man? You're one handsome nerd, Joshi.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate it.
you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything I can do for my fans.
I think that the Thunderlord is also a testament to with this Kog'Maw, and I think maybe I'm thinking too much into it with it. You know, the whole protect the Kog'Maw meta of past. But I think the Windspeaker would have been a oh wow.
We definitely think that Detonation Focus Me is the strongest, stronger team, but 81% is one of the largest leads in the Twitter wars that I think I've ever seen.
Right. I'm trying to think in seasons past of what of worse ones, and I'm sure I've seen some of like I think I saw one of like Lonzu versus
going
SKT.
really low.
Oh wow.
Yeah, does manage to save both of his summoners, but he is going to be forced out here. Not a whole lot he can do, and that's really the power of Kog'Maw Lulu as a duo. Thinton not able to get a whole lot of training back. I believe his ultimate just came back up after that. And with Ashe forced to back, we're going to start seeing the very aggressive Utapon already start to build a lead up over his opponent.
Yeah, and this is great for Detonation Focus Me. This is like
Savage is here up here in the top lane, trying
to
get a little bit of damage onto Paz. Not going to get a whole lot. He's just going to have to back away. There's not a whole lot of kill pressure in this lane, especially pre-6 when Savage doesn't have that jump off of his ultimate. Satori provides a lot of crowd control, but especially pre-6 when they don't have that ultimate, I'm not expecting to see a whole lot of action up here in the top lane. Mostly just farming between these two.
Right. I think even later, both of these are going to build pretty much full tank, right? In the top lane here, even this Gragas here, and so it's pretty much just going to be a big wet noodle fight either way.
We'll probably see a little bit. We're seeing a more shifting towards the Iceborne Gauntlet once again, like we used to see with the Meta Golem, the Sunfire, Iceborne. But we're probably going to see something similar to. They're probably both going to back and pick up at least 2 more Doran's Rings, because that's just kind of what you do. You just go back, you get tons of mana sustain, you get tons of free damage, you try and win the lane that way. And we're going to see them go back in just a moment. There's one Doran's Ring coming out, but he's opting to more quickly move towards the Spirit's Visage. But there we go. Paz is going to pick up those 3 Doran's Rings. You know, he's no longer a single later. He's a beautiful Beyonce.
You know, I think they misspelled Doran Shield when they made those purchases. I'm actually rather disappointed, but it's okay. They can still redeem themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that... Excuse me?
Well, Steel's actually coming down here, potentially finding Savage, but not quite. I don't know if that ward actually saw him. This ward's definitely going to see him, and they'll be able to easily play around that. With the information on where he is, we could very easily see Steel go for something somewhere else, knowing exactly where Savage is.
Right. And you can already see the CS difference building in that bot lane with the 10 CS lead on this Kog'Maw. But what's interesting is the Orianna is actually doing pretty good against this Ahri. At least it's pretty early, but I mean, at least so far. I love seeing Rengar's animation flying through the air with the flower. It's actually one of the most beautiful things.
It's great, isn't it?
I hear that same kitty cat.
There's a lot of fighting up here in the top lane. Explosive Cask is already used. Satori does not have his ultimate available, but here in the mid lane, we're also seeing Rocket committing the Shockwave here. Shadows is forced to flash out, and nothing else is going to come out of it. But that's a lot of fighting all around the same time across the map. And when all is said and done, a couple summoners are blown here and there, but Detonation Focus Me still has 400 gold lead.
Right.
And here we go. Yusumon's going again on Thinton, getting a lot of damage off, not managing to pick up any summoners, but if you can just keep those guys low, you're gonna have a good time.
Right. I'm thinking that we're going to see this Rengar revisit this mid. He's going to time this flash, hopefully, I mean, within the next couple minutes or so, and wet noodle fight my rear end in that top lane. That Gragas did quite a bit of damage.
They really did. They both committed their ultimates, both still sitting on their flashes, but that is starting to be a large CS lead. You know, building up 4 paths there as well. And here we go. Utapon going in again and getting a lot of damage out to Rakenia. He does have the ultimate available. One more shot, that's going to do it. Rakenia still has both of his summoners, not respecting the damage coming out from that early level Kog'Maw. That's
right.
That's big. If we're talking about Rakenia being like one of the main carries of 7th Heaven, already falling behind first blood in the 2v2, that's not going to spell well, or not going to do well for the team as they really start to get into their major item spikes.
Don't worry, he takes a swig of his drink, takes a deep breath, he'll be all right.
He'll be all right. And we do see him building that Blade of the Ruined King, going for that slightly lower damage build, you know, with the lifesteal a little bit safer, and he's going to rely a little bit more on that Savage Brock combo from the Shockwave and the Rengar ultimates combining to really do a lot of damage, lock everyone up. There's actually a decent wombo combo just being set up right here by 7th Heaven and just their combination, and I really wouldn't be surprised if we ended up seeing Thinton pick up something like a Luden's Echo some part in the mid game so that his empowered Q just does so much more damage to everyone caught into the Shockwave combo. But look at that. Paz and Satori just, you know, hitting each other every now and then, but not a whole lot coming with it. No item spikes coming through yet, so they're just all of their base damages, and Gragas has some fantastic base scaling.
You know, when I see the Gragas belly flop, I always think of, like, you know, 2 bros like hitting each other. You know what I mean? Like doing that belly bump. And man, I can't imagine like that doing that much damage to you. It's not very bro-like. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, you can't hurt your bro when you're doing that. Why can't we have a bro Gragas skin? We have like Gragas Esquire and everything. I guess the closest thing we have is like soccer fan Gragas.
Yeah, I mean that's like that can be kind of bro-y, I guess. I mean, not I mean, I don't know. But we need. Oh yeah, exactly. Sorry, I can't. My mind can't even comprehend a Bro Gragas.
Savage is going
It's too
here
good.
onto Lee Sin, getting a lot of damage. Steel does manage to get the ward hop, but Savage is committing the ultimate, and he is going to go in.
Oh.
The Lulu ultimate comes in. The Wild Growth is going to save him. Saros comes over the wall, and they are going to finally pick up the kill onto Savage, but the Enchanting Crystal comes down onto Lulu. Steel is still on the other side. Paz is already teleported in and already 1-for-1, but there we go. Brock falls as well to Paz. That is so far 2-for-1, but we're still going. Paz once more. He gets the next cast on. Saros doesn't have his flash or his ultimate anymore, and Rakenya is trying to get a little bit back, but this fight is going on forever. Saros is still alive, but he finally falls down. Steel picks up another one, and that ends up being a 4-for-2 in favor of Detonation Focus Me, with great positioning on both the Dragon and the mid lane, so as they choose to take it.
Yeah, the focus was pretty interesting there for Detonation Focus Me, but it didn't seem to matter much. The Rengar definitely went too deep and paid for dearly with his life. But they actually left Rakenya alive for quite a while when they just walked right past him to go for the karma there, and they took some damage for it, but it didn't seem to matter a whole lot in the end.
Yeah, I really have to give a lot of props out to Vivid at the beginning of that fight for flashing for the Wild Growth onto Steel. We'll see it again right here, but he comes in. You'll see the flash being committed by Lulu as he jumps in one more time. Oh, he doesn't even flash. Might lie. But, it puts Savage in a really awkward spot, knocked up in the wrong spot in the fight, and there's not a whole lot Steel could do at this point. It's just very split. Everybody's fighting different people. Paz goes in trying to get the final hits onto Thinton, and they do end up picking it up, but it's dangerous. And here we see Paz once again. He no longer has a flash, doesn't have a good body slam. This should be Gragas going down, but there's so much damage reduction coming out from that W. Finally picked up by Savage. And that is going to be a big boon as I start to get a very tanky top laner. Vivid and Thinton still fighting. This is a very bloody game right now for Japan. We're not used to seeing this kind of aggression this early in the game.
Right, when you have a Lulu and a Karma in a game, you gotta expect them to be fighting. Those are two of the most aggressive supports in the game, and I don't know. I love to watch it. We actually, if you look too,
Sarah's
we have
coming in here. This is a very interesting position, trying to get a lot of wave clear. Paz is going on to the other side of the map. First turret does go over to 7th Heaven, but here comes the dive. Vivid gets a lot of damage. They finally do take down Rakenya, and that was a clean dive there in the top lane. Oops, spoke a little bit too soon. Steel will end up going down, but they'll be able to trade the turret on on the bottom half of the map with all three members there. Brock still has the shockwave available, and Saros is not quite able to defend the top of the shockwave. Does go down to Vivid. He's down really low, but they are going to finally pick up the turret. 2,000 gold lead right now for Detonation Focus Me, and great position all around.
Right, and look at this score in this bot lane. I know I've brought it up before, but there's still this 30 CS lead for Udapon and 3-0 on this Kog'Maw. I mean, it's not looking good for 7th Heaven so far in this game.
Yeah, and it's interesting to look at where the rest of the gold leads are available right now. You have a 30 CS lead right now on Paz over Satri as well. But Saros is getting jumped on right here. Misses the second bolo by Savage. But yeah. Saros, for being one of the best players in the league, is not having a great game right now against Brock. He's getting caught out a little bit by Savage, moving in a little bit odd ways, and it just really begs the question of where exactly the shot calling is trying to put him. But when you already have a 3-0 Kog'Maw at less than 14 minutes with a huge CS lead over his opponent, it's happy puppy. It's got those really big feet, so it's going to be a really big dog as it starts to get older. But here we go. Steel and Savage fighting each other a little bit. Steel is up in gold, I'm sure, but down in CS overall against Savage. It is starting to manifest as an experience lead. But Satri and Savage don't have a whole lot while they just wait here for Brock to come up and try and do a little bit. I love the knockback on that ability by Sejuani. It just gets all the minions away. It's like, no. Back.
I like the cowl and then into the cinder. We're kind of going hybrid here, which I think is really good against this Kog'Maw, where you do have that hybrid damage coming from Kog'Maw, so you're getting the health as well as the MR. and I think we'll see him finish up the the Spirits Visage first. But I'm interested to see.
And we do see another interesting adaptation coming out of Utapon there in the bot lane, opting to pick up the early Mercury treads on that character. It's going to give a little bit more survivability against all the CC coming out of 7th Heaven, but it also means he's going to take a fair amount of damage. The people he really needs to be worried about, Savage is going to be on him, and there's a decent amount of auto attack damage coming out from people like Rokenya is always going to be able to hit you with the volley, and Satri is just going to be using a lot of auto attacks as well, but, survivability, he should be good. It allows him to really go forward, and here we see Paz getting hit by the arrow, and just walking up and scaring him is sometimes all you need to get those major cooldowns.
Right, that was a sick ward denial too. If you saw that against Saros there, it was actually pretty stylish.
I didn't notice all the inner parts of it. We do see Paz here pushing up really far. Without a whole lot of support from his team, there's not a whole lot to be fighting down here for, but Satri's getting caught out a little bit. Here we see Lulu coming on the backside, does finally get it. Ooh, very good flash, stopping the ultimate, but the ultimate does come out of Satri. It stuns up Utapon, and the Mercury Trade is going to get him a lot closer, and there's just so much CC coming out of Lulu. He's not allowing him to leave.
And I'll take it.
I'll take it. Kog'Maw will take it, and that should be another turret going over to Detonation Focus Me in the next couple of seconds.
It is interesting that you would blow the exhaust, the flash, the ultimate for. I mean, yeah, you get the kill out of it. You don't. There's not really a whole lot to gain right at this very second. Obviously, a kill is a kill, especially on a Kog'Maw. Actually, Kog'Maw didn't even get the kill. But still, I mean, it's good. And then they'll get the turret for their efforts as well.
Yeah, they're moving around in little odd ways. They show, 7th Heaven did a good job of trying to pull attention back down towards the mid lane, which is why this turret is only now going down. But seemed like unclear calls and not quite sure where the other team is, so they couldn't really do a whole lot. But let's take a look at that again. We do see the ultimate getting thrown back by Satri, not able to do a whole lot, and there's just so much. Again, the wild growth, the exhaust, the flash, all committed by Vivid just to get Kog'Maw a little bit farther ahead, and he has to be sitting on a massive amount of gold. He hasn't bought since he picked up those Mercury treads. We're probably going to see a full Ruinous Hurricane coming out as soon as he finally chooses to back.
And then he is going to just be a nightmare.
Yeah, and right now, Savage is looking for things to do. He just really wants to find a pick right now, because right now his team's starting to fall behind, and as a Rengar, you don't get a whole lot stronger than you are right about now, so he needs to start finding a lot of those picks in conjunction with Brock and Satri.
Right. Right now, I would say the focus really is on his damage, but as you said, coming up, as he falls off, he's really just going to be a yarn ball delivery. So... yeah, we really do got to see more.
I really want to talk a little bit more about the skin synergy that we're not seeing here. Brock does choose to go for the Bladecraft Orianna, but you're playing with a Rengar. He has that Yarn Ball. You really want to see him going for the, what's it called? Stitched Orianna, something like that.
Oh,
and
right.
Really playing to the strengths of the composition, but here we go. Enchanted Crystal Arrow, wide left.
Gosh, that was interesting. Rengar wasn't really that close. I don't think that even if that hit, I don't think that there would have been a whole lot that they could have done to capitalize on that. They were pretty far back. We are going to see some wards and some control come out for this Drake coming up, and that is, what is that? The Fire Drake?
It appears to be, second Infernal Drake. We do have the first one already going on to Detonation Focus Me, and this isn't a team that benefits a super huge amount. There's not a huge amount of AP being built by Gragas Lee Sin, or offensive stats being built by Gragas Lee Sin or our Lulu, and even Kog'Maw doesn't tend to build that much damage off of his items. It's largely, Blade of the Ruin King, which doesn't have that much stats. Ruinous Hurricane doesn't have that much stats. Even Ginsu's Rage Blade only has a little bit of stats really coming out from that. So, 2 Infernal Drakes is still a lot of stats. I think it's 16% of your bonus AD and AP added to all of your totals. but it's not the most impactful one they might have had. If we had seen like a double Mountain Dragon per se, or even double Cloud Dragon, it just gives them the opportunity to really move around really quickly, would probably be a little more impactful this game. But you always take Fire Dragons when you can. Everybody knows that. Everybody
Full strength attack, man. Full strength attack. Nothing else possibly matters. Everything else that you just said there is absolutely absurd. And our audience should just ignore everything that you said because it was actually just ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a
and I would
reason
also
why
like
I'm
to
hard
point out
stuck.
that, yep. And there's and I actually believe it's a drake. It's not a dragon. Is that right? Is that the official lore? It's a drake.
I think it actually depends on where you're going. I know in Japan they do definitively call it a drake, but I'm pretty sure the English version does say it's a dragon.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I actually thought because I remember I know it's Elder Dragon, but I always thought it was Cloud Drake for some reason.
I mean, I've heard both. They're really interchangeable words as far as I'm concerned. I know this is a really interesting conversation that I'm sure we'd love to have. But real quick, yeah, I was the guy who posted all the stuff about LJL at MSI. Hope you really enjoyed, and if you are people looking for English casts, let them know. We'll be doing this every week for the rest of the LJL summer split, so looking forward to seeing you guys in here. But yeah,
don't worry, and it won't be me all the time. So if you absolutely despise my casting, you don't have to put up with it all the time.
I already despise it. I don't want to listen to it a whole lot more either. But
yeah.
Look at the top lane. Look at the CS lead getting built up by Paz right now. That's a lot of gold.
Yeah, we're 20 minutes in this game, and we already see I mean, my math's pretty horrible, but almost a 4K gold lead here. There's not. I think.
Paz is in an interesting spot, trying to get a little bit, not going to get a whole lot out of it, choosing to go backwards instead of forwards. Where's that full strength attack you were talking about, man? They have the double fire drake.
I'm disappointed. I was really happy when I saw him go in, and he kind of went in 1v4, and I was like, yeah, this is my man. And then he walked back.
What is he doing? There's a fun thing that Pew Pew Panda Phase does when we play it together. He literally that's explosive cast right there. Not getting a whole lot out of it.
That was pretty full strength attacky, if I do say so myself.
But it's literally like, I haven't died in about 5 minutes. Let me fix that.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the best League of Legends player you'll ever meet. So, if you can't tell from my...
Crystal Arrow lands onto Paz. There's a lot going on. Savage jumps in. He does have the ball still on him. Shockwave has not been used yet, but Orion is down. There's no Shockwave left to come out, and all members of Detonation Focus Me are still here, but Satri's on the backside. This could very easily turn into a larger fight, but with Orion already down, ultimate's committed by everyone already, except for that Sejuani. Just going to have to back off and probably cede this second turret.
Where was Satori in that fight?
He was looping around towards the blue. I believe he was coming down through river after pushing out the wave and just didn't make it in time. He did partially commit his teleport, it looks like. That looks like a shorter cooldown than we would have otherwise seen, so he probably canceled it, is going to be my guess. We'll probably see a replay in just a minute here, actually, so we'll get to take another look at exactly what he was doing. But
I hope so, because that was peculiar. He was pretty far back.
Yeah,
but
we're definitely seeing Paz being much more impactful in this game than Satri so far, and we're gonna take a look. We do see the teleport coming out on the wrong side, and he does finally manage to complete it, but the fight is already lost. Orion is dead. Savage is forced out with no more ultimate. Rakenya has already used everything, and Satri just comes in. He's like, "Hey guys, hope you didn't forget about me."
Satori looked like every Vayne player I've ever played with right
there. hey guys. Is the party still going?
Don't mind me, I'm farming the bot lane.
He's that guy at the party that you go to. He's just kind of like, "Hey guys, I'm ready." I'm
ready to party. It's like 4 hours into the party.
A fifth of vodka in each hand. Who's ready to get crunk? Everybody's already passed out on the floor. Is like, guess it's all me then.
Absolutely, I love it.
But Gragas is on the other team. Gragas is always down to party.
Unless he is the soccer the closest one to the Broskin, as we have said, because there's Gatorade in there. He's got to have his electrolytes.
Yeah, he's probably got, some health issues with all that weight, all that beer he's always drinking. Um, we do see an interesting thing coming out right now in some of our itemizations. We're starting to hit a lot of power spikes. Ari picking up that Zonia's. Runin's Blade of the Ruin King already built onto Utapon, and he is starting to go towards the Wit's End as opposed to something like the Frozen Mallet, which is something that's always very good. I know I was talking about this earlier today, but it was the Yordle build that we often see. Blade of the Ruin King, Runin's Hurricane, and Frozen Mallet. You see this on Kennen primarily, but you also see it a little bit on Teemo. You can see it on Lulu. We saw it on Reckless's Tristana yesterday. So it's all these Yordles can build it. You can do it on Gnar, actually, minus the Runin's Hurricane. I don't think Mega Gnar gets a whole lot off of that. But the crit, though, man. But yeah.
What is because Wit's End is no longer an MR item, correct? Wit's End.
Yeah, it is.
It is?
Yeah, so the ones that did change were the Banshee's Veil and Abyssal Scepter.
Right. That's interesting. I don't know.
Now, actually.
I'm surprised to see the Wit's End on this Kog'Maw. I'd prefer to see like a GA even if he was going to build like a defensive item. But I guess there's no MR on the GA anymore either, right?
Yeah, on 710 there's not. It builds out of the BF sword and the cloth armor, so there's not any MR. Honestly, I'm not super worried about him dying in these fights.
Right.
So it's an interesting choice. I would have rather seen something like a Ginsu's Rage Blade, but there's a lot of MR shred on that item. Just it does increase his damage quite a bit. Ultimately, it seems like a personal preference thing, and Utapon's been out of the ADC role for quite a while, so it could just be a personal choice thing or just something that's just haven't quite caught up to the rest of the international meta. But we are starting to see pink wards coming out on a lot of our members. Paz is working towards that Knight's Vow, just keep Kog'Maw alive even longer. So we're going to start seeing the prolonged Baron fight, and with the triple Infernal Drake on Detonation Focus Me, they're doing a lot of damage.
I just noticed the CS on this Rengar. It is just insane how much CS he has. He's about to surpass their top laner in CS, especially if you compare it to the farm that we have on this Lee Sin. You can definitely tell who they see as the carries on each of these teams.
Yeah, and Savage has been having an okay game. Probably the best game of anyone on his team, except for maybe Brock. Brock's been having a pretty solid game, actually outpacing Saros for the most part, but we're kind of past the point where Rengar is strong. He's right now he's literally just the ball delivery system, and if you put extra farm on him, yeah, he's gonna survive a little bit longer. But I think the real thought here is he's the only one who's ever going to get to Utapon. You need to give him resources so that he has a chance of taking down that Kog'Maw. Even if it's just a 1%, we'll take those odds simply because it's not 0%.
Yeah, great point. And he is going to build full tank. And as I play a lot of Rengar, and I actually build him, as you can imagine, a full strength tag, to where I pretty much don't build any defensive items on my Rengars at all. I just
not even
build
the Sightstone, because he plays at support.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I do play at support actually. That and Scion,
Tilting.
except Scion's obviously just actually good.
Yeah, it's we'll just say that when we play together, I probably have 100% rate of being tilted, even though it's not always his fault. Believe it or not.
I would.
Yeah, here we go. Not Paz. He's not the jungler for Detonation Focus Me anymore. It's Steel now. But Savage and Steel fighting each other a little bit. There's a lot of people here. Utapon doing a lot of damage. And Viv is taking quite low, using the Wild Growth on himself. Both TPs are committed. Paz is the only one who chooses to complete it, though. And both teams are going to
leave.
Yeah, but that gives a great spot for Detonation Focus Me to turn onto this Baron with the triple Infernal Drake. Savage is coming back. He's already low. He's going to have to jump in mostly blind. He does manage to get the ward over the wall, but Utapon is shredding down this Baron right now. The rest of the team is here. Sauteri is almost available as well. Paz is getting taken quite low, and we see Detonation Focus Me very hesitant to actually finalize this Baron. And here we go. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands onto Saros. They go in. Sauteri's in, but he hasn't used the ultimate yet.
Disengage.
Yeah, they're trying to disengage right now, and they do have a good way to disengage, but just a little bit too long. If they had committed a little bit